Sorry about that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm just going to switch my microphone and try and fix it. I do realize that my microphone was not broadcasting. So welcome again. I'll go through it again. Welcome to all you people. Another week, another AIMBOT down, kind of down. Let me reset my voice filter because I don't want to be going tappity, tappity, tappity on the keys. And my voice filter does a really good job of removing it when it actually works and doesn't, fail completely. So give me a sec. I'll just try that, see if that works. Sorry, people, bit of technical issues going on. It will be fixed. I have confidence. I have confidence. No, apparently it won't be fixed. It won't be fixed. Give me 1 second, and I will do. Audio system default. No. Sorry, I'm just having technical issues here. I'm going to. I think you can still hear me, actually. Even though you can't see me, you might still be able to hear me, which you probably can. Just saying. Just saying. Give me 1 second. I will conquer this demon. I will conquer. Let's see. Can I switch it around? Woo! And then audio. And now I have my filter back. Awesome. Thank you so much for your patience, me working that out. Now I can tap it away on my keyboard. And you can't hear me, or at least I hope you can't hear me, because it is an aggressively loud keyboard with absolutely no respect for your time nor your hearing. But I should be able to tappy away. And, if you can hear that, please do tell me, because my keyboard is quite frankly offensive and it offends me. And I wish to have the sound of it be left in the ether. It is AIMBOT. But first off, I do like to go through some stuff. I just came over from Embers. What a show. That's awesome. Like Ember finds the best stuff. I cannot recommend highly enough. Awesome. Absolutely awesome. I did grab what I wanted to show you. I want to show you something that I think that I can sort of say, hey, the No Kings protest happened recently. I talked about it last week on AIMBOT. Very tappity. We heard nothing. Thank you, Deviant. And yeah, I want to give some shout outs to people out there. First off, thank you, Andrew. Andrew's first in. Andrew, the artist, is first in. Awesome. Welcome, Andrew. We've got Atheum. Heyo to yourself as well. Heyo. Left-Handed Jedi sounds like a war movie. Aimbot down. Look, Aimbot's the best of us. Let's face it. And Deviant Outcast. And Left-Handed. So some awesome people out there in the chat. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm glad you didn't hear it, because it offends me. Now, the first thing I want to go into is that Hungary had a pride protest that was insane, absolutely insane. And I think, I personally think, I really think that it is because of the bravery and the temerity and the sheer success of the No Kings rally. So this is in Hungary, right? So Hungary has a sort of right-wing, kind of oppressive government. It's very, it's almost like getting like Turkey, where you've got Erdogan really just oppress the people. And they banned this, right? They threatened legal consequences. They threatened fines. They threatened all kinds of things. And people marched anyway. Check this out. It's just... Yeah, Viktor Orban is the right-wing populist over there. But look at this. Like, you're going to take legal action against all these people. No, they're not. They're going to do nothing.
Az idei évben van az, hogy most már olyan szinten elmérgesedett a helyzet, itt Magyarországon, beleértve Budapestet is, hogy most már egy kicsit markánsabban kell hallatni a hangunkat, én azt gondolom. Mindenféleképpen békésen, de
Yeah, so all of these people, and they had no problem coming on camera saying, hey, we're not going to listen to a law that says that we can't be who we are and we can't peaceably assemble to celebrate a segment of our population. This is people power in action, and I could not be happier. This is amazing. It is standing up to right-wing authoritarianism. But the other thing I want to show, if you're unaware, the White House came out with the most bizarre video about Trump going to the NATO conference. If you haven't seen this, this is one of the most weird things I've ever seen, right? This is to Usher's daddy's home. You've got to see this to believe it. It's insane. It's insane. Hold on a second. Watch this. This is crazy. Okay, I'm not going to play the whole thing because it's probably under copyright, but like,
yeah, you ain't got to give my love.
What is this? What is this? I don't understand. Like,
I ain't gotta do a lot of flexing.
What the fuck is this? This is an official, like, released White House video. I'm not even joking. It is bizarre. It's so bizarre. Like, it's weird. This is a video from the White House to Usher's daddy's home, like, talking about flexing and it's just, it is the weirdest crap. Like, you know, what is this government 5? Did Usher approve this? Like, what is going on here? It's the most bewilderingly weird thing that I've seen. It's absolutely wild, like absolutely wild, and I don't understand it. It's just like it's like you give a 5-year-old keys to the social media account kind of thing, or you know, a 13-year-old keys to the social media account, and they're just putting up, you know, what they think is badass stuff. Is that cringy enough? Is that cringy enough for you? Imagine if Obama did skate into a conference. I will give him that, but that was pretty badass, I got to admit. If Trump did ride a skateboard into a conference, I would pay that. But sort of, you know, just doing pictures of him with somebody else's music over the top, it's like, what? Most of the conference was laughing at him anyway. Like he has this problem, like when he did the UN speech, I don't know if you remember that from his first term, like the entire auditorium is laughing at Donald Trump. Where is it? There's give me one sec and I should be able to share this. So this is like the NATO meeting like 5 years ago. They actually laugh at the guy. And not much has changed really. And to be honest, like, please don't take it as we're laughing at the US. It's not the US that we're laughing at. Like, the US we you know, respect and everything. The US people I respect. Trump, like, you know, he sort of said, oh, the world's laughing at us. No, they're not. They're laughing at you. They're laughing at you. Yeah, that's people who just cannot believe what they're, what they're seeing. They just cannot believe the ridiculousness of this. Yeah, it's absolutely bewildering. Like, because I get that he goes and he makes these promises and says all of this nonsense to the people who are his base, in these rallies that he does. And I understand that they buy it hook, line, and sinker. I have no idea why. I personally think that Trump derangement syndrome should change the definition of it to anybody that's still. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to turn to comments on that. Yeah, one day I'll get good at my job. One day I will, but it's not today. It's not today, damn it. Look, I think that you, you know he says all this stuff to his base, and I totally get that. I totally get that. But I think Trump derangement syndrome should be changed to anybody that still believes he is working in the best interests of the American people. Like, seriously, of the ordinary workers out there. You would have to be, like, after seeing this big, beautiful bill that he calls it, which is just ridiculous because it, only one of those things is accurate. That it is big, it's huge, and it's got in all the stuff that he promised not to touch, like it cuts Medicare, it cuts Medicaid, it cuts SNAP payments, it cuts all kinds of things. It absolutely is against everything he said. He said he wouldn't touch Medicare. Well, he is. He's absolutely slashing it. It slashes, but it provides, tax breaks for things like, as they pointed out, tanning beds of all things. It's not hard to see why. And things like that, tanning beds are illegal in Australia because, they're not healthy. They're actually dangerous. Flooding yourself with UV light is actually dangerous because UV light causes cancers. And the Australians are, Australians are very, very aware of UV light causing cancer. So, yeah, Deviant, they're just, they're fine. They're fine. Yeah. So I think that, oh, hello, Majestic Beck, and hello, Gigi. Good to see you. And Majestic Beck, you're looking very majestic today, sir. Majestic. Okay, so I think that it should, like, Trump's derangement syndrome should be anybody that still supports him. Don't get me wrong. If you support him because you're a right-wing fascist, yeah, you're not deranged. You're accurately supporting your guy. But if you're supporting him because you think he's going to drain the swamp and, stop corruption and provide for workers and, do all of this stuff, well, that's ridiculous. That is you are literally, you are delusional at that point, because everything that he's doing is not in the best interests of the average person in America. I'm sorry, it's just not. But hold on to your hats. I do want to announce, and I do have a couple of announcements to make before we get started. I do apologize up front, but I have a debate coming up. I will be streaming it live. It is on Modern Day Debate, and Wi-Fi Gospel has decided to debate me on, is Christianity or atheism true? Now, this is an easy topic for an atheist because atheism is the lack of belief in gods. So is it true that people lack belief in gods? Yes. But I'm not going to be, I don't want to go in there and go, oh, well, the topic says yes, so I've won the debate. No, I understand what they're trying to say. So I'm not really stringent about topics like that unless unless it is very, very, the topic is set up to be hurtful or conflationary or some sort of deceptive topic. I don't think it is. I get what they're trying to say. Is what atheists believe true is what they're trying to say, but that doesn't look as pithy on a billboard. So totally understand it, and I really do want more debate. So I'm not going to quibble over details, very much at all. If you want to win a debate by sort of being, well, technically this instead of the spirit of what you're actually talking about, well, good luck to you. I don't feel the need to do that. So I'm fine for it. But it will be on Sunday, which usually would have a debate dissection, or I think we'd be over on Embers, but I think Ember isn't doing anything this week or can't make it this week. So it actually works out well. And unfortunately, debates take priority because they are harder to get and perform than an ordinary show. Perform, is that the right word? Do you perform at a debate? Do you engage in a debate, maybe? What's the correct terminology for that one? Because I don't know, and I probably should. I do engage in debate. It does sound very respectful, doesn't it? Hello, Andrew. You were first and shall always be first. And I agree. I agree. It would be deranged not to care. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that if you are relying on if you're relying on the products of society and you don't care about the people in it, there's something wrong there. There's something horribly wrong, because the people that are suffering are the people who pick your food, who clean your rooms, who do really hard work and contribute to society. And that's what lawmakers have been pointing out about the immigrants. They actually pay a lot of in taxes and contribute to society, even though they're not getting all of the benefits that society has to offer, which they're not really complaining about. They're just, to throw them out just seems wrong. The ARC and counter protest. Yes, that's one of the announcements I had to make. So first off, I do have a debate coming up. That will be my Sunday morning or Saturday night Eastern time. Should be fun. I always like engaging with Wi-Fi Gospel. My last debate went very well. Hello, Pinworm. So good to see you. So good to see you. Pinworm. Awesome. Awesome. It's not a party until Pinworm's here. So, you'll be at the ARC. Oh, fantastic. That's the second thing I have to do. But do come along for my thing. I will be at... Oh, thank you, Deviant. That's awesome. Yeah, so the Kentucky Atheist did a video with my good friend Jess, who is just amazing for sort of the details and sort of protest information and things like that. So they did do an information thing. I'm not sure if there's still tickets or there's still whatever online. I might play the ad just for one last plug, because I think Joe from Kentucky Atheist, he's done a lot of work on it. He's really put in a Herculean effort, and I think it's going to be awesome. Now, some people aren't going to be there. They have unfortunately had to cancel, but I will play Joe's ad because he, well, it's really Jess's ad. So is what going to bring them publicity? Is it still popular? What is the ARC protest? That's been going on since the government provided tax breaks and sort of money for the ARC. Or there's this. Oh, will it bring the ARC publicity? Ken Ham publicity? I don't think so. I think there's some sort of diehard fundamentalists who will go, oh, it's being protested, so I better go and support it, kind of thing. Well, okay. But I think it is more that any government that supports, especially, something as well funded as sort of creation ministries, to put a religious place enshrined on the map, I think it draws a lot more attention towards the problems when you bring down the separations of church and state. That there are a lot of other religions not getting the same treatment, but serve the community just as well. Like there's Muslims out there, there's atheist organizations. I've never heard of an atheist organization getting tax breaks, except if they're a non-profit. They don't get a tax break for being a religion. They have to adhere to being a non-profit. So it's a problem. It's a definite problem, and in Kentucky, it's definitely a problem. You see this creeping into the political realm with sort of people giving reasons as to why they're implementing certain policies as God. And hello, Wes. Yeah, no worries, Wes. No problem at all. I'm just going to rant for a bit and then start my usual thing. But I do want to play Joe's ad because it's Joe's. It's actually Jess's ad. She did it, so it's great. Yep, let's unmute that. If you want to, just saying. Jay. Sponsored by Pangburn. Awesome, Pangburn. They do some great stuff, I gotta say. Oh, yeah, he did destroy Bajo. Yeah. Well, I think it was... So Jay went in there with a very specific goal in mind, and I totally get where he was coming from. He, what he wanted to do was draw attention to all of these people, all of these scientists that work for Creation Ministries or Answers in Genesis or any of these organizations. They're very aware that what they're doing is not in line with the scientific method and what is expected from scientists. And he pointed that out really well. But not only that, they know that that's not how they get work published and taken seriously in the scientific realm, in the field of science. They know that sort of appealing to Christians to support them is not how to get yourself taken seriously in science. Oh yeah, Jess did a fantastic job. Absolutely. Yeah. I agree, Gigi. I totally agree. Like they know that they're not doing the right thing as far as science is concerned. They just don't care. And yeah, so separation of church and state is important. It's incredibly important. And I went a bit into it in my last debate, which was secular humanism versus Christianity, that in implementing these religious-based policies, people will not agree to them. There's no way you can convince Muslims that they have to abide by Christian doctrine. You need something more. You need to say, hey, this is bad for people because it has this effect. Not just, hey, because my book says a thing, you've got to abide by that. Because they will never be happy with that. They'll never accept it. But if you sort of say, hey, you can't do this thing because it is harmful for us all in this society, people will accept that. It doesn't matter whether they're Muslim or Hindu or atheist or Christian. If you say, hey, lead in water is really bad for people, we should get rid of that stuff, then yes, that's something that's good. But if they're sort of going to go, well, you've got to not work on a Saturday because my book says so, then nobody's going to accept that. well, accept your own faith and the fundamentalists within your faith, but they shouldn't accept that. Now, did I do a link to the information session that Jess and Joe had? I hope so. I did, yeah. So that's above. I might pin that actually. So that's the oh, it doesn't actually say what it is. That's fine. I'll leave it. I'll leave it. But that is the case. Now, I'll do a community post on my debate so we can all gather round and laugh and support one another. And it always makes me feel great having people in the chat. I won't lie. It makes me feel fantastic. So I'm chuffed. It's awesome. Did you know that scientists have found molecular hydrogen in water? No. Impossible. It's almost like everything's made of chemicals. I don't think so, Gigi. I don't think so. Religion isn't more powerful than reality. No, I don't think that's true. And it depends on what you mean by power. I think that when you're describing reality, that's got a power in and of itself. When you can make novel, testable predictions and they keep coming true, then you've got something religion doesn't. Because religion hasn't actually contributed any description of reality to our knowledge. Like, what has religion discovered about the reality around us in the last 2,000 years as opposed to science? You know what I mean? Like, what has it actually contributed? Nothing. It hasn't told us anything about the reality around us, while science has told us everything about the reality around us. We have discovered so much, and it's led to the life that we lead at the moment, which is actually really, really good in comparison to years ago when religion was in charge. Yeah, I totally get that people will do that. Yeah, I get that, but I still don't think that it's more powerful as such. And don't forget, like, these fundamentalist churches, they are complaining that people are leaving. Like, Ken Ham is doing videos on, and I did one on a fundamentalist fails a while back. Like, why are people leaving the church? Why are they leaving in droves? Why are they all, why is attendance down? And it's like, well, people are finding out that there are more reliable things in your religion. And, it's especially these fundamentalist ones. Now, what's important to note is that they are making great strides in sort of the third world, developing countries. I think that they are preying on people who aren't educated enough to actually critically think about their claims and what it means, and whether science has better evidence. And welcome, Ember. It's so good to see you. It is so good I was really enjoying your thing before, your fire thingo. I absolutely it was great. Like, looking at AI TikTok shorts was just insane. It was so good. Yeah. I mean, it is. It is. I do agree with that. However, it's sometimes difficult to talk about it without them going, well, it's all true. Like, that indoctrination is something that's a problem. But you can't really tell people how to raise their kids or what to believe. I hope that people will sort of, generation by generation, it seems that people are falling off. And it's really funny because people I've debated have said before, that atheism is going to die out because we're not producing as much children. And it's like, well, if birth was the only way to produce atheists, I would agree with you. But that's not how atheists are born. atheists are born from looking at their former beliefs as well and deconverting because they cannot justify a belief in this. Something I was thinking about this morning was think about this, right? What can a Christian show you to demonstrate their God that someone with an imaginary friend can't? Right. What clear line of evidence can somebody who believes, say, in Christianity show you that somebody who has an imaginary friend and wrote a book about it can't show you? Because they show you exactly the same level of evidence. You know, the guy with the imaginary friend can say, "Hey, well, I found my car keys. It was the imaginary friend that did it." Like, there is nothing that they can show you that somebody with an imaginary friend can't, which is wild to me. And you know, maybe that requires some justification. Maybe I need to think about it. But I was thinking about that this morning, so I'll share that with you. Aren't you atheists hatch from eggs? Yes, we are the reptoids, reptoids. I think it is the conspiracy reptoids. Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, but I think I had one more thing. I'm trying to think of it. Oh yes, I just want to say with this debate coming up, you know, I really do appreciate that after the Raging Tomato debate, Wi-Fi Gospel is actually prepared to debate again. I you know, salute to him. He's willing to go another round. I'm chuffed. I'm really happy about that. I know that it might have some pre-sup in it, but I think that pre-sup is great for me in a debate personally. I do realize that it may not be good for the audience. So, you know, I want to develop maybe over the next couple of days a way to shortcut that. Sort of say, hey, you know, why go to this external place? You know, maybe can we have an axiomatic level that we agree on and then go from there? So I've got to find a way to shortcut that. And that's fine. That's fine. I've already done it a few times and it's, you know, worked very well for me. I think I just want to refine it a bit, but it is good for my arguments, right? Because you know, people hear presup and it's so obvious what it is. It's so evident that it is just claiming something, then saying, hey, I'm presupposing it, and then saying, well, everything else is impossible because what I've claimed and presupposed is the truth. And it's like, that is so bad. I'm actually happy when someone uses it in a debate because it is so bad. Like it is so demonstrably terrible arguments. You know, I don't think anybody has heard that and gone, oh, yeah. Usually they believe already and they're going, oh, well, that justifies my belief. That's what it's for. It's never convinced anybody. So I'm more than happy to engage with that. But I was surprised. Wi-Fi Gospel, he didn't turn to precept last time, so maybe he won't, which will be fantastic as well. I'm surprised by him. I have respect for him because he doesn't, you know, maybe not as much as other people, but you know, I mean, he's engaged. He's called me a name once or twice, but hey, no one's perfect, and that rolls off my back. Like, trust me, that absolutely rolls. That does not. That rolls off my head like the summer rain. It really does. I go, ooh, refreshing. Like, it does not worry me at all, my friends. Trust me. I've gotten so much worse in my life. It is just a light rain. Oh, refreshing. You have to resort to insults. How nice. I do. And here's the weird thing about me. It's really weird and it's kind of odd. I don't really mind people attacking me. It's when people attack the other people in my life I care about, when they attack other people, that's when I get, you know, really, really defensive. I'm like, don't you dare attack them. It's very strange, isn't it, that I don't defend myself that much, but I do defend others. It's very, very strange. Very, very strange. But I do want to say, at least Wi-Fi Gospel is actually entering the ring. I was watching, or I caught part of, I should say, Raging Tomato put up on my Discord, and the Discord link is in the chat, in the description, sorry, if you do want to join the Discord. They put up like an Andrew Wilson debate, and because Andrew Wilson ran from me like a complete coward, he backed out like right on the dot. sent some minion in there to deal with me who got just, I mean, he was not in any way prepared, but he wasn't prepared for the debate. It was kind of a kind of really terrible thing to do to somebody that looks up to you or, you know, follows you. Like, oh, go in for this debate. You haven't even had any time to prepare. I kind of felt sorry for the guy because he's just been thrown in at me without any time to prepare whatsoever. In fact, I had a presentation I dropped for that debate. I didn't use it because I'm like, this will be unfair. You know, like I'm not interested in absolute, you know, at some point you've got to take mercy on these people. But Wilson, you know, he just ran and sent some poor schlub in there to take the brunt of it and just ran away and has never tried to get another debate since. And it's wild because I agreed with James on Modern Day Debate that I would debate these Crucible guys on Modern Day Debate first, right? Like that I wouldn't go on any other channel and debate a certain series of guys who were interested in debating me. Then I debated Jim Bob, and you know, this debate was set up, and then suddenly, you know, Andrew Wilson doesn't find the fortitude. Anyway, I caught a debate of his, or part of a debate. For a guy that apparently runs a debate school, he is absolutely terrible. He's one of the worst debaters I've ever seen because he just relies on interrupting the opponent every opportunity. He cannot help himself, or it is his tactic to just, when you start talking, he just starts talking as well, right? Like that is his tactic. It's his only one. It's the only thing he's got going for him, that when you start talking and say two words, he will interrupt always. And the unfortunate thing that I see is that people will take that as their cue to be quiet and let him talk. And I don't see why. He's not saying anything. He's not adding anything. His intention is to stop you talking, to literally talk over the top of you. That is no reason to give him that leeway. Like, I don't understand why. I know there is a social cue to when somebody says something that you stop and let them speak. There is no reason to grant that man that luxury or that privilege. He does not deserve that privilege if he's going to essentially, but he's not interested in, you know, interjecting to raise the dialogue or because you've said something wrong. No, he's interjecting so literally the opponent cannot speak. They cannot get out one clear thought, and that is his goal. That is all he wants to do. He wants to make statements and then interrupt the opponent, which is not a good debate tactic, because when you get better and better debaters, they won't just shut up and take it. And they won't just sit there like so many people do and go, oh, well, now I better answer your question. No, they will say, hey, you're just interrupting me. Why are you scared of letting me speak? Like, what is wrong with you that you cannot help but to interrupt? And so when you get to a higher level, no one's going to fall for it. You know, the better debaters out there, people like MC Toon, like, you know, Matt Delahunty, you know, they're not going to fall for that. So he's got to come up with other tactics against people like that. You know, against Matt Delahunty, he just made him mad. Like, that's what his intention was, to make him really, really angry. That's not an honest debate tactic either. Like, I get that you may, you know, strike at somebody, try to trigger some sort of emotional thing as a tactic during a debate, but he just tries to enrage when he can't talk over the top of them. Or he just runs away like a coward. You know, when he doesn't think he can interrupt and he doesn't think he can make someone mad, he just runs like a bitch. That's his third tactic. Just run like a bitch. And it is incredible how bad he is. And this is a man who's supposedly running a debate school that he charges people for. It is horrendous. Yeah, you know, well, it doesn't, Gigi. It kind of does, but it doesn't, because it seems to, because his followers are the loudest, right? Like, they're very, very loud, and they'll come into your chat and they'll say, hey, you lost the debate. You lost. Like, it's like, well, if I lost, why do you need to come in and tell me, try to convince me that I lost? Like, you'll always see this weird thing. If I won a debate, I'd sit back happy that I won it, and I'd expect people to do the same. I don't see why they're coming in and trying to convince me. It's weird. But I've talked a lot on that the best debaters and the ones that do well don't have to go and convince people how well they did. They don't have to do that. It's very strange. Yeah, I think he's a fraud. I think he's a fraud. I think that he isn't debating. He is engaging in. I don't know how you would describe it. He's engaging in a sort of a performance of right-wing outrage coupled with he's trying to silence the opponent by just being loud. Like, you can see he takes his microphone and basically puts it up his nose every time he does a debate. Like, he talks so loud. He really is just loud, obnoxious, and, you know, he's just like a flat earther. Like, you know, one that just will interrupt you so you can't actually get anything said. And if that's the case, then the moderator should go to timed exchanges. Just shut him the hell up. If he can't control himself, then he needs to have a playpen like all children that can't control themselves. If he can't be silent for the opponent to get a thought out, then he needs to be put in a playpen where he has, you know, that is taken away from him. Mute him while he's not talking. Because that's the only way to deal with a child, is to implement some discipline over them. So if he can't self-discipline, someone needs to discipline him, because you can't go into and claim to be debating and just be an obnoxious twat that interrupts everything the other person said. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. And it's not debate. It's not. I hate people calling this and that debate. I mean, YouTube debates are barely debates, okay? They're barely debates. Like, they're not formal. There's a lot of back and forward, and that's fine. Like, I don't have a problem with it. That's fine. YouTube debates are barely debates, and I don't have a problem with that, okay? But when you're like, you know, when you're going in there with the intent to just be an ass and create noise and things like that, then you're not participating in debate. Debate is having two sides articulated and then presenting arguments for both sides. If you're there not to cut off your opponent as much as possible so they cannot articulate anything, then you're not engaged in debate. And people like Joel Sedecase, who I've laughed at many a time, he basically has a call-in show and he says he's debating atheists. He's not in debate. Like, it's kind of a pet peeve that people will call just a call-in show a debate. And it's like, no, it's not. You've got control over the call. It's not a debate. It is a call-in show. Like, you know, it'd be like The Line saying, hey, we're running debates. No, it's not a debate. I mean, you know, of course, Matt Delahunty would know not to call that a debate because it's not a debate. It's a call-in show. So, you know, why they need to have this big thing of, oh, well, I debated atheists and I won. It's like, that's not a debate, sir. It's it's weird. It's weird. But, you know, debates get respect, so they want to sort of puff out their chest and be debate bros and say, hey, I debated these people and won, kind of thing. Look, if you know, you can't fake it till you make it. Seriously, you can't do that. You know, like, okay, you run a call-in show, just let it be what it is. If you want to debate, get a moderator, get a presentation like that, give them time to present their side, articulate it, have a response, challenge it. You know, don't sit there and call just having a random online argument with someone a debate. Donnie does the same thing from Standing for Truth. He says, oh, you know, his after shows, oh, I debated Mark Reddit. No, he didn't debate me. It's not a debate. He's got, you know, control over what the subject is, how long I have to present. He's got control over everything. It's not a debate. It's just a random argument we had online. It's not a debate. because if there was a debate, I would be prepared. I would have a presentation. I would have all kinds of things. So that's my pet peeve. People who call random online arguments debates. But I think you dislike Donny, and I have mixed feelings about Donny. I don't really hate him, but I think that Donny is too willing to use scientific articles for his own purpose. I think that, at a certain point, if you're using scientific articles and presenting the exact opposite of what they say, there's something really dodgy about you. That's pretty dodgy. Dodgy Donny. Dodgy Donny. God, I sound like Trump now, giving nicknames to my enemies. Look, I think maybe Donny is a bit, maybe he doesn't believe what he says all the time. It's very hard to believe that he believes it when he's claimed to solve the heat problem on no less than 5 occasions, and then brings it up like his last solve never happened. Never happened. Okay, but we'll start aimbotting. I think I've had my rant over. I'm just really chuffed, and a big, I'm a big mad respect for Wi-Fi Gospel stepping back up when the last debate, I must admit I did maul him a little bit. If you didn't see it, I brought up the youth and fro dilemma, and absolutely nailed him with it. Because first he said it wasn't a dilemma because there wasn't 2 choices, and he's wrong, because the youth of fro. So the youth of fro dilemma, if you're unfamiliar with it, it says basically it's an old one, and basically it says the original youth of fro says is things holy because it's what the gods like, or do the gods like it because it's holy, right? To sort of bring it up to date with sort of modern philosophical sort of frameworks, is what we say is something moral because the god says that it's moral, or does morality come from somewhere else? So this is a dilemma because you have 2 options, and only 2. It's, does God choose what is moral, or does it come from some other place? Does morality come from some other place, right? That's the only 2 available. It's either chosen by God or not chosen by God. That is the dilemma. And it is only those 2 options. So, and he appealed to God's nature. It doesn't come from what he chooses. It comes from his nature. Okay. Does God act within his nature? And he went, yes. And that's, of course, everything acts within its nature. That's sort of a given in philosophy, that we all act according to our nature, whether we're and nature, I'd sort of say, is the properties and powers of somebody. Like, it's in my nature to digest food. It's not in my nature to jump to the moon, right? Like, we all act within our nature. So then it's, well, God genocided the entire human race. So if God acts within his nature, and that's an action God took, that's within his nature. And if morality is God's nature, then that is moral. And nailed him on that. Absolutely nailed him. So I'm really impressed that he wants to step back into the ring, which is fantastic. And that more on whether God exists or not, which is great, which is fantastic. So a big, I respect that. Maybe he's got some more arguments. Maybe he'll go the pre-sup route, which is going to be awesome. If he does, that will be fantastic, because I love destroying pre-sup. It's absolutely hilarious. And really it's just to make you mad and sort of, just sort of say, so I do, yeah, I have, I'm going to have to think about pre-sup though, in a way to shortcut that. Oh, what's up? Austin Sims is in the house. Just aced your psychology class exam. Oh, well done, mate. Well done. That's awesome. Fantastic. Do you plan on going, or you may not know actually, but do you plan on going clinical, or do you plan on going, what's it called? There's clinical, and then there's Oh, I can't remember the other type. There's the treatment type as well. There's clinical and then counseling. Yeah. Yeah. There's two main types, clinical and research. Okay, awesome. Yep. Yep. Oh, look, I respect people going into counseling psychology, like, trying to help people. I respect it. But I respect the clinical people as well who are doing experiments to see how our behavior works and why our behavior sort of is what it is. It's very cool. Both is awesome. I respect both. And Jessica's here. Hey, Jess. If God is good because it's in his nature to be God, then God doesn't have a will, meaning he is just part of nature, not a creature to be worshipped. If God is good because it is nature to be good, then God doesn't have a will. Well, I think, I mean, you do have a point, but I think it's just God acts within his nature, and that is what is good. Whatever God does is good. I think it's sort of, I don't think it's like if you said whatever I do is in my nature and whatever I do is good, right? So if I, you know, go out and urinate in a church pew, for instance, then that is a good thing to do. I still have will. I can still do whatever I want. Maybe I don't do that and instead go to the men's room at that church. That would be the good act. It's whatever I do. But I still have will because I can choose what it is that I do. It's just that whatever I do, no matter what that is, no matter how ostensibly horrible that is, that's still good. But I get where you're coming from, but I don't think that follows, Jessica. I get what you're saying, though. I do. I really do. Okay, I've run out of coffee. I might see if Lynn is around. I think she may have gone out, but I see if she can be an absolute awesome person and get another coffee. But welcome to AIMBOT. What is AIMBOT? Am I morally bankrupt or them? I'm not sure. It could be either way. So we are doing some solicited, consensual judgment of people. See if they are morally bankrupt or the people that they have opposed or they have disagreed with are morally bankrupt. Now, these are not curated. They are not chosen in any way. I'm seeing them for the first time. Hopefully, you're seeing them for the first time, unless you've been scouring Reddit's Am I the Arsehole, which is where we get them from. Left-Handed Jedi had a really good suggestion that unfortunately wouldn't work, and that was going instead to Reddit's I'm afraid to ask. As I said to, I mean, it's a really good idea. Don't get me wrong. I think it's an amazing idea and awesome. I also know that something like that would absolutely put me in violation of YouTube's terms of service in like 2 posts. I think it's an amazing idea, and I can't say enough about it. But it just YouTube gets sensitive about that kind of thing because it's all like pretty egregious terms of service violation stuff. But thank you, Jedi. Was it Jedi that suggested that? I think it was Jedi. Oh no, maybe it was Titan. I can't remember who suggested. Somebody did. Somebody did. From what I saw, it was sort of, I'm afraid to ask about this kind of thing. It was all medical. It wasn't you? Okay, it must have been Titan Uranus. So I cannot. I'm sorry, Jedi. I'm mixing them up with Titan Uranus. So somebody did on the Discord, and it was just an amazing suggestion. But it was sort of wow. Okay, that's probably won't get onto YouTube, quite frankly. And I'm not paranoid, but I'm a little wary about bringing up topics that are not violate terms of service because YouTube has their terms of service. I don't know what they're implementing to do it. It could get you into trouble. So I just, yeah. They have both space. That's true. That is true. Yeah, let's say that. Let's say that. Okay, so I will be running a poll to see what you think, but I think more important, as I sort of say every week, I think more important than why you think something is right, sorry, whether you think something is right and wrong, I think the more important thing is why it is right or wrong. I use secular humanism, you may use something else, but I'm really interested, especially in religious people, how they actually, what they appeal to apart from, you know, just their feelings and what they feel like their religion says, how they feel about it. I really do want to know, like, how if you have a situation that either this person is right or that person is right, how they actually come to that conclusion. I can say that I look for what's the best for human well-being, whatever that may be, but I want to know how religious people do it, because these situations, you can't just open the Bible and, am I wrong for asking my friend to stop complimenting my postpartum body? You can't just open the Bible and find a verse saying, hey, when a woman has given birth, don't compliment on her figure. They can, Tori. It's really good to see you. Did I say hello to you, Tori? If I didn't, hello, welcome. It's good to see you. BTF Wayne in the house. Hello and welcome, Wayne. Beg than Flam Wayne. Self-publish on demand. Self-publishing is rough. My wife has been through it. It is rough. It is difficult to do. And it's not as easy as you would think. It really is not. Okay. Am I the arsehole for asking my friend to stop complimenting my postpartum body? Is she being sarcastic? And so the first thing that occurs to me, well, I think that if you have a boundary about people complimenting your body, I think that's a boundary people should respect. I think that some people are sort of, well, I don't like it when you talk about my body in that way, even if it's not supposed to be sexual. You have a lot of men that will sort of go, oh, you look hot, like you look absolutely hot. And it's like, could you not talk about my body like that? And it's like, sure, yeah, absolutely. If that's a boundary of yours, some people do like that. I must say, some people do like it. But I think that, I think that in a way it does devalue the person, I think in a way, and I totally understand if that's where you're coming from. I think that myself, I would rather, I think I would get to know someone before doing something like that, like before coming up to them and saying something like that. So I don't know. I think it is if you are really making somebody feel bad or uncomfortable in where they are. If they say, please don't do that, you should respect that. Absolutely. Is it wrong to just go up to somebody randomly and say something like that? It can be, depending on the context. Like, it really can be, because if you're making them feel uncomfortable, and we have to be aware that some people are going to be very uncomfortable, especially something like at work. If you're in a bar, well, yeah, I mean, it might be something you may be able to do, but if they say, excuse me, no thanks, that's fair enough. But if you're at work or something, it really is the wrong thing to do. Like, it really is going to make someone feel uncomfortable. I don't think necessarily at a bar or something it is wrong to do, because, if that's what you see, that's what you see. If you want to articulate that, you can articulate it. If they're uncomfortable and say so, then you should stop. Like, stop for that person. So yeah, I don't see necessarily that it's bad, but yeah, if you're continuing with it after someone said so, you're definitely doing something wrong. 31 female, gave birth earlier this year. A few people have given me compliments, not sure how genuine. Well, it could be genuine, like it could be. Um, I don't know. But people do have um, different attraction as far as body is concerned. Like I don't think if somebody sort of gives you a compliment or what appears to be a compliment on your body, um, I don't think you should just dismiss it as, well, I'm not up to conventional beauty standards, so that couldn't have been a real compliment. Some people do like different body types. That is a thing. So, I wouldn't dismiss it if, sort of thing. I really wouldn't. Uh, she called my butt big. Okay, that's weird. She said my stretch marks look awesome. What? She said she bet men look at me more now, I believe that's supposed to be, more no. I have called me chunky. She has called parts of me juicy. This is even making me feel uncomfortable. Damn. I mean, yeah, like if people have an attraction to bigger girls, hey, that they might actually think that. But if it's making you feel uncomfortable, they should stop. If you say, hey, please don't say that. I understand trying to make the new mummy still feel pretty, but I feel uncomfortable. Yeah, then they should stop. I asking my friend to stop complimenting my postpartum body. She looked sad and told me she was just trying to help. She called me ungrateful and insecure. Am I the asshole? Wow. Okay, that's no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. She was just trying to help. That doesn't help. Trying to convince somebody of something that they don't feel is not helpful. It's not helpful. I guess, you know, pointing out that, hey, some people do like a bigger girl is or a bigger woman is helpful. Like it's not the end of the world if you put on weight, especially with childbirth. Like, what else are you going to do? That's but I do think that she's absolutely being moral. She feels uncomfortable about it. She articulated it. No, she's not being insecure and she's not being ungrateful. Why should she be grateful? Like, I'm so happy you're trying to convince me that I'm sexy. I don't what is that? I I what? I don't understand that. I really do not get it. I'm so confused. Um, was the poster right for telling oops, I'm not typing. Why am I not typing? There we go. Was the poster right for telling her friend to stop calling her juicy? Look, I think I mean, I'm not really one for physical attributes so much. I like minds. I really do love a person that I can talk to and sort of talk about concepts with and things like that. The physical stuff really doesn't occur to me. I fall in love with minds. That's what I do. That's just me. I don't expect anybody else to be the same. That's what I do. If you can't talk to me about, you know, sort of morality or at least have opinions on, God and atheism and discuss, political things and sociological concepts and whether some social construct is good or bad. Like I'm not interested. Like I really am not, and that's just me being a overly thoughtful random person. That is what attracts me. um I think that um that appeals to me a lot more. Not that I'm not attracted by physical stuff. It's just that appeals to me a lot more, to be able to talk to somebody and have a a real good conversation. I think that is really, I think intelligence is attractive. I think that um, a smart woman, because I am a straight man, a smart woman is incredibly attractive. I think that is really, really amazing when you find somebody who can, talk to you about things that you want to talk about and be, basically school you on them, is just amazing. It's awesome. But yeah, let's see what the Redditors have to say. Buy throwaway. Okay. Not the arsehole. If not wanting to be called juicy makes you insecure, then I think 95% of people are insecure. Yeah, you're a person, not a steak. That is awesome. I'm going to upvote just for that comment. Like, seriously. She needs to learn to compliment people without needlessly emphasizing sexiness. She may well have intended, but the delivery is so off the mark and getting defensive puts her into arsehole territory. Yeah, I mean, you can compliment people without delving into sexuality or, sort of beauty standards. Like, you can compliment people. Like, even if you're talking to a woman and they say, "Hey, I completely disagree," you can say, "Hey, I love that you speak your own mind and disagree with me. That's fantastic." You can sort of say, "Hey, I love the way you've done your hair." It doesn't need to be, you know, you can say, "Hey, I love the way, it reminds me of Katniss Everdeen or something. It's really cool," without going into, "Hey, you're hot and smoking." You can compliment somebody on more than just how they are in relation to sexuality. Because, if you do go and somebody is wearing, I mean, I've said before, "I really like your shoes. They are awesome." That's just, you know, or that color really suits you or something. I mean, I've said that to my co-host Ember at times. Like, the color really suits her. There's nothing sexual about it at all. It's just that color really suits her. Like, you can compliment someone without, being sort of sexualize them. Especially, like, if and it depends on the context too. Like, I mean, I know it's her friend. Some friends talk like that to one another. Like, they really do reinforce their sexuality, and that's cool too, as long as they're fine with it. As long as they are fine with it, it's not a problem at all, like, in any way. Um, but if one person isn't, yeah, not the arsehole. Nothing like a backhanded compliment to make you feel better, right? Yeah, it does feel a little backhanded with that. Like, your stretch marks are hot. It does feel that way. She's not really complimenting you. She's making jabs at you and pretending they're compliments. Otherwise, she'd not get angry, upset and angry when you asked her to stop. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, it could be, yes, that is a possibility. I acknowledge that. I fully acknowledge it is a possibility. However, we don't know that for sure, and she might just be bad at compliments. So we don't know that for sure. Tiger Belmont says, "Not the arsehole. You have the right to ask someone to stop talking about your body." Correct. Not the arsehole. She sounds like she's talking about your body like she's doing an inventory of car parts. Kinda. Kinda. Maybe. Not the arsehole. She had good intentions, but is a very poor reaction to someone's boundaries. Not everyone wants their comments on their body. That is a very fair request. Yeah, absolutely. I think that if you're being made feel uncomfortable by anybody talking about your body, it's not cool. And you know what? It's kind of odd too. It's kind of odd because, like, when I was younger, I was very, very thin. I was a very thin person. I was kind of what I would call lithe, right? I was thin but strong because I did gymnastics and I did all of these sort of you know I did martial arts, I did gymnastics, so I was sort of very, very thin though. And the amount of people would come up to me and go, "Oh, you're so skinny. You look like you're undernourished. You're so skinny." It's like, don't do that. Okay, don't do that. Like, that's the same as going up to somebody and going, "Hey, you're really fat." They're aware of how thin they are. Don't do that. Like, it's just as bad, really, as far as I'm concerned. I know some people might disagree and say, "Oh, but that's a compliment." It's really not. It's really sort of saying, "Hey, you don't fit into the standard beauty pictures." Um, yeah, so, don't do that. Don't do that. Let's see. What have you got to say about it, people? It's all about selling cigarettes at the moment, apparently. Um, let's see. Self-publishing. Yep, sorry, I'm just getting caught up here. Is there anybody else to say hello to? I think I've done everything. Being mad about compliments is a first world problem. Not really, no. No. So, it's not a first world problem because it's not just people in the first world that have to worry about that, right? Like, um, somebody who is in war-torn area has to worry about, you know, some soldier giving them compliments on how hot they are. This is a concern for all women all around the world. Um, as well as men all around the world, where being different than the accepted norm can get you in trouble. So no, it's not. A first world problem is things that only occur in the first world, right? Like, like um being it difficult to log on to your Facebook is a first world problem, right? Like, that just does not happen to somebody in the third world. Those, in the third world, a friend being an asshole by complimenting their body may in fact occur, GG. So no, that's demonstrably not true. That's demonstrably not true. Ember says, you never know what a person is comfortable with or not, so potentially objectifying comments should never be the default. Yeah, correct. I totally agree with you. And, a good idea would be to save that until you know somebody a lot more. And, there's no harm in if you do sort of strike out like that. If you shoot your shot and decide to do something like that and they say, look, that's not acceptable, apologize for it. Say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend you. Just having fun. Look, no problem at all. Totally understand where you're coming. You can make them feel comfortable with their pushback. Whoever it is, you can say, "Hey, I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable. Certainly wasn't my intention." And you have a total right to that. You can reassure someone that their opinion and what they want is actually acceptable and will be, you're going to listen to them. That's fine. Totally fine. Deviant says it's not wrong to tell people to stop you making you feel uncomfortable if that's all this is. Yeah, absolutely. Do not compliment your dog. Well, I've never seen nor had any kind of thing for your dog. I would not know where to start. Aunt Jo says it's reinforcing problematic beauty standards. I don't think necessarily that it is. I think that, I think that, like I said, some people like girls or women or men that are bigger, and that's fine. They may make a compliment of that. That's fine. It's not reinforcing problematic beauty standards. I don't think so. Not necessarily. I think there is a tendency for people to, um, to hold aloft those general beauty standards throughout society and then make the comments about them, but that's not always the case. I think problematic beauty standards are going to be there anyway. And I mean, I've seen bigger girls be hit on, all the time. So yeah, it's not a problem. Red flag? I'm not sure it is. Not a first world problem. Yeah, yeah. People can afford and has access to confidence. Absolutely. That escalated. Yeah, the reaction from her friend is very strange to me. I don't understand why you would have that reaction. I really don't. Um, nope, freaking weird. Yep. Fake compliments. She is insecure, not asshole. Yeah, I don't know if they're fake. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, James. James, good to see you. I haven't seen you in ages. Welcome, welcome. Um, James is awesome. Definitely shared a panel or two with this man. Mostly Amy's panels, but yeah, it's all how you carry it. Absolutely. Absolutely. There's some really big women in the entertainment industry who carry it and they're fantastic. Like go girl, you go out and you strut your stuff. Go for it. No problem with it at all. Gigi said, did not say ungrateful, insecure, because she said not sure if compliments are real. Yeah, that's true, but you know, secure people don't need compliments or insults. Yeah, they don't need them, but it's nice to have compliments sometimes. I'm not saying that, hey, um, you're insecure if you like a compliment. That's not, no, no, no. Um, they don't need them, sure. But if the only compliments you get is on your body instead of the type of person you are or your achievements, for instance, it is a bit horrible that are you just the sum of what your body is, or are you everything that you've achieved? Are you how you think? Are you your morals? Are you a sum total of all the experiences in your life? Is it reductionist to just compliment your body without complimenting anything else in your life? I think so. But it is nice to receive compliments. Um, Ember says, this makes me think of all the time people tried to tell me I was handsome. They thought they were being nice, but I just put the spotlight on the parts of my appearance I've found unsettling. Yes, yeah, no, I get you, Ember. I do get you. And that's okay if you say, hey, I don't like those compliments. Totally fair. I think totally moral to say that and have people and have that boundary for people to respect what you say. Totally moral. The post said a friend called her ungrateful. Yeah, and I don't think she is. I think she just doesn't, so if you are in a bad place, you may not want compliments on the parts of you that you're not happy with. That might be something that feels, because if you're drawing attention to them, like part of coping sometimes is you just not think about them at all until you can sort of deal with it. That is a coping mechanism. So sort of forcing someone to by complimenting it is definitely the wrong thing to do. Deviant says, very much disagree with you. Let me add. Okay, that's to GG. Did I propose? I think did I propose with an argument? Because I have proposed. No, I didn't propose with an argument. But I certainly stated my feelings about the matter. I don't argue about everything. I mean, I argue about most things, but not everything. I was told that I was a mistake. Yeah, me too. Yeah, yeah. So my brother, I have one brother. My brother is 10 months older than me, right? 10 months older than me, or really 9.5 months older than me. So if you know the gestation period for a infant, you will know that's close, right? That is get one out, and then I came along, and my parents said to me, "Hey, we didn't expect you. You're a mistake." I'm here now. The GG. Emma says, I relate, Mark. The person I had kids with was a person who could keep up with me in a conversation. It's not intellect exactly, more similar. Yeah. Similar topics of interest, but very brain-based. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's important to me. I think that's, and you know, I don't expect everybody to agree with that. You know, some will say, hey, if the girl's not model looking, then I'm not interested. Well, you do you, but I fear that, you know, you may be trying to punch above your weight, or, you know, maybe finding someone more suited to you, not just your physical ideal form, is a good idea. But, you know, I can't say what works for other people. It's not my place to say what works for other people. Fashion choices are a good choice for compliments. Yeah, Ember, always. You know, Andrew Christopherson says, yeah, I give female friends compliments and it's never sexual. Yeah, me too. I certainly do as well. You know, I do give my wife compliments and it certainly is sexual. I'll tell you that right now. But yeah. Aunt Jess says, yeah, the strap marsh compliment sounds sarcastic. Kind of. I don't know. It sounds like they're trying to make them feel better about their body. And, you know, just in a really terrible, awful, insensitive, clumsy, and, you know, just a stupid way, quite frankly. You know, if you say nice hair, is that terrible? No. No, but if they're uncomfortable by you saying it, apologize, say, you know, I'll keep that in mind and move on. That's fine. There's no reason to get angry about it. It's true. I saw my old picture on Discord. Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. Oh, hello, Robin. Good to see you. Always good to see you. Juicy hair is getting close to the line. I would say so. Majestic Beck says, I just say, oh, you look lovely. Yeah, that's definitely something you can absolutely say, you know. Oh, you look fantastic tonight. I've said that to guys, you know. I've said, hey, you look fantastic tonight. Like, seriously. And I'm not even attracted to guys. Like, and I will say, you know, I've said that before about James from Modern Day Debate. He looks really good in a suit. You know, like, you look fantastic. It doesn't mean it's anything sexual. So I think that's a very true thing to say, Beck. Tori says, me personally, Tori Sonsiger says, me personally, I'd never compliment a woman's body that's newly postpartum because I don't know where the mama is with that. Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, but we are talking about somebody's friend, so they may have thought they knew what they need or can broach that. Like, there are things that I would say to a friend that I wouldn't say to a person I've just met, you know, like, I really wouldn't. And I think you're absolutely right. Finding out whether they are, you know, they do need that pick me up or not is a good idea. But what I don't I kind of get where the person's coming from. They want her to make her feel better about herself. I just think that the way they've done it is just absolutely terrible. You know, like, they're really just making them feel worse. So, and I understand that. I really do. I really do. Tori Swanson, I'd rather ask her how she's feeling and how she's doing. Yeah, which is more important, you know, like, really more important. If she says, like, and that's absolutely fantastic, Tori, because if she says, hey, I don't feel attractive, you can then say, hey, you are, you know, and then go into that and why, you know, you think that she's still attractive. Or people with hot things like hot hair. I'm not sure what hot hair is. I'm imagining, you know, a fire elemental at the moment. Jessica, the trans metal alchemist. All humans are faced with questions of social customs, verbal and physical cues, correct etiquette, politeness, etc. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm not sure what that was in reference to, but I 100% agree. And they can vary from subculture to subculture. They can vary, you know, what is expected of you from the subculture of, you know, the goth kids may be different than the subculture of, you know, what's expected you in a professional setting, kind of thing. Like, it all varies. And it's difficult. So, sort of, treading lightly and finding out what's expected from you is is usually a good idea. And I have problems with it because I can't take verbal cues very well, or, you know, sort of social cues very well. But, you know, you pay attention, you'll pick it up, hopefully. Athium says, first world or not, is it a breach of consent to verbally objectify someone that does not want it after learning? So yeah, I totally 100% agree with that statement. Totally agree with that statement. Well, Heidi Shotman. Some girls like short guys. Some women, some men love short guys. You know, that's their thing. I knew a couple that were friends of my friends of the family. They were friends of my parents, and the woman was like 6 foot something, and the guy was 5 foot. I think it was 5'5" or something like that. Like, he wasn't that tall, and she absolutely adored him for being a shorter guy. Like, you know, part of it is to stop thinking of what you are and have that define you as unattractive. What is attractive is when you know, you can be confident in your body. The amount of people that have tried to make me feel unattractive and terrible because I don't have any hair, I accept it, love it, wear it, revel in it. It is me, and I will revel in that. And that is what is attractive, when it really is something that you say, hey, here I am, all of me, and I like who I am. I like the me that I see. That is what's attractive. You know, I mean, I'm not going to say I'm a supermodel, but you know, being bald suits me because I wear it with confidence. I lean into it. I will happily joke about it. Why not? You know, it is more me than anything else. How do you wear no hair? With extreme difficulty, aren't you? Extreme difficulty. Hello, Tilting. Hello, so good to see you. Watching but not chat. No problem. Lurk away, my friend. Lurk away. I made the problem. Oh, right, before the compliments. Gotcha. Sorry, Archer. No, I hear you. I hear you. Majestic says, "What kind of idiot you got to be to say dumb crap to a person anyway?" Well, look, it. Some people are bad at social situations. I'm bad at social situations, so I can't point fingers. You know, I really can't. I've said some dumb stuff throughout my life as well. The important thing is to realize, hey, I've said some dumb stuff. It's hard to know sometimes. Juicy comment in Australia. Yeah, fair enough. That's fair. Red flag. Well, you know, like being understanding and saying, hey, look, I'm not angry at you. I really love that you're trying to help because you're my friend and you want me to feel good. It's just you're not helping like this. I know you think you are. Like, I kind of think that she thinks that she, you know, is helping. She's desperate to try and help her friend who's given birth and maybe doesn't feel good about her body. I get that. The way she's doing it is terrible, but she's trying. Like, so maybe be a bit sort of more sort of, you know, encourage her to do other stuff, like check in with me, see if I need any help with the baby, things like that. Tori says, whenever I ask for newly minted mum, I ask her how she's feeling. I make it a point, tell her it's 100% okay to tell me she feels like poop and has cried 15 times in the last 10 minutes. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think that if you can't, like, it kind of, every time I say, how are you? I'm fine if you want to say, hey, I'm doing, I think that applies to everybody, right? Like, if you're going to ask how somebody is, I don't mind that if you say, hey, I'm feeling like absolute crap. That's okay. You know, we've all felt that way, all of us. There is not a human on this planet that has not felt like crap. You know, like, it's okay to say, hey, I feel like shit. And for no particular reason. We've had those days we get up and we go, man, I feel like absolute crap. And there's no real reason why. You're just, well, shit. You know, like, it happens. It's okay. Deviant says, better to compliment someone's achievements, their clothes, their brains, even rather than their bodies. Yeah, that's true. I don't see any problem with normal compliments. Well, yeah, no, I get you, Gigi. I just don't know what categorized as normal. Different people categorize different stuff as normal, especially between friends. You know, I mean, between friends, sometimes people like guys will go, "Oh, great ass, mate," and you know that's just a joke between friends. So it really does depend on their relationship, I think. And if she honestly feels great, great. If not, that's fine too. Absolutely. Absolutely. Gigi says you can't dictate what people compliment on you. It'd be a bit ungrateful or choosy. Well, yeah, you can. You can't, let's say you have a nice hat, you can't ask them to compliment your brain. Well, no, but you can sort of say, hey, I don't, you know, please don't compliment. Even if you that, you know, your outfit makes you feel uncomfortable, you've got a right to say that, and they should abide by it because that's the right thing to do. But you know, I'm not sure what your point is there. Yeah, you can't straight out. I mean, you know, people do dig for compliments. You know, they go, "Oh, well, look at this hat. Isn't it amazing?" Sure. I mean, you can ask people to compliment you on something. It gets a bit tiresome after a while. Um, Ancha says you can absolutely place boundaries on what people say to you. You don't have to be grateful for anything that's unsolicited. Yeah, but this is solicited judgment, Ancha. We have been asked to comment on what we think. Fellow zombie here, quite fond of brains. And if the person is a Taylor Swift fan, just marry. Yeah, I'm not a huge Taylor Swift fan, but I like some of the stuff she's done a lot. You know, like you know, her outspoken support of LGBTQI. I like some of her songs about, you know, being yourself. You know, I think that it is healthy and it is wholesome. It is, you know, very, very good. I like that she's a cat lady and, you know, has multiple cats and adores them. That's wonderful. I like that. So yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Taylor Swift, but I do like her. I think that as far as pop idols go, she's probably one of the more innocuous ones, pretty much. Um, yeah, I mean, I used to like Katy Perry, but no, she's absolutely terrible for what she did. Like, she evicted elderly people from their homes. That's terrible. That's absolutely terrible. She evicted nuns from their home where they'd lived. It just wow, wow. Um, of course you have to set boundaries. Yeah, yeah, of course you do. Everybody has boundaries. You know, everybody absolutely has boundaries, and we have boundaries that, you know, are enforced by law. Like if I went up and slapped somebody in the face, well, that's not only a boundary, that's a legal boundary as well. You know, you can't do that. But you know, there's nothing stopping legally from someone farting in your face. But you know, you have a boundary against things like that. You always do. I don't like cookie cutter model like ladies. At least they have a great personality, and then they can get my interest. Yeah, Andrew, I will refrain judgment on that. I think when I was younger, I had a tendency to sort of go, oh well, you know, if someone's looks a certain way, they're not going to have a great personality. But I think I've learned, hey, lots of different people have lots of different personalities, and some people can look like a model and be a fantastic person at the same time. So I think I've changed. You know. Um, if they say no hair, then that is a compliment. Yeah, no, I take me being bald as a compliment. Hey, I've got a few theories about why I am bald. Number one, my brain works so much that the heat just burns the hair off my head. That is what I take from that. Next one is that, hey, I'm more evolved than everybody else because we don't need that hair. I can make a beanie. I'm evolved. No, I just, you know, I mean, it is something that happened to me, you know, like my hair fell out as, you know, in sort of, I guess, late 20s, I think. And, you know, it's when we have things that happen to us and we sort of accept them and then sit in them and then be comfortable in them. You know, when you see somebody who's like, well, this happened to me, and you know, I was attacked by this person, and it happened, I was scared, but I'm not afraid to go out now. That is the thing. Like being confronting that and overcoming it is, you know, you admire that person. It is something admirable. So, you know, me, I just overcame it. It's just something that, you know, I don't define myself by how I look. James Kunz does look good in a suit or lack of one. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sold on the whole subway tattoo. I wouldn't do that. Like, hey, it's his body, but I don't know. You know, I'm a straight guy, so I'm not looking at him sexually, but I would not get a tattoo of a corporation anywhere on my body, really. I think that that is definitely not something I would do. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like Subway. I just would not tattoo it on my body. I'm sorry. If you're unaware, James does have a tattoo of Subway on his back. I would sexually compliment everyone in here. Okay, Austin. Well, I would touch your butt. Well, please, that is making me feel a little uncomfortable. The problem is not compliments when the person asks to stop and weird fake compliments. Well, no, because you'd never know for sure what someone's motivations is. Okay, you know, I get that. Hey, we can probably guess that, you know, these compliments are it's trying to make her friend feel better after giving birth about her body. Yeah, I get that. However, some things you may see as fake may not be fake because people's tastes vary. John Travolta loves short guys, allegedly. Okay, I don't know about that. I told you, how do you wear no hair? With style, sir. Or ma'am. With style. With style. Probably. Possibly. I was told I was the tallest short guy they ever met. Or you're the shortest tall guy they ever met. Did they think about it like that? Um, one of the couples at work is a short guy and a tall girl, and she seems to love her short. Yeah, they're adorable. It's just because there is sort of this toxic masculinity sort of thing, as you know, if you're short, you're not up to scratch. You're vulnerable, and men feel vulnerable when they're short. That's why you get sort of the short guy attitude. They want to fight everybody. They want to show that they're no pushover, because it is intimidating for a man to look up to a guy. You know, to see another guy and they're towering over you is intimidating. But it doesn't have to be. Right? Like we don't have to be intimidated by that. It's just what's reinforced in society. So, you know, I think that sort of letting that go and sort of going, hey, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. It's a good thing. I have run into those people before. Being on the taller side myself, I have run into shorter guys that just want to fight. Atheum. No problem. Atheum. I will remember that, or at least really try to. Really try to. So I do apologize, Atheum. Atheum. It's a really cool name, I gotta say. I'd make you very uncomfortable. Okay. Okay. Biblically accurate, but yeah. Oh dear. I wouldn't imagine people living in sort of, you know, Middle East Palestine at the time of the Romans, you know, Palestinians or you know, Jewish people would be particularly well fed. I wouldn't imagine, you know, I'd rather eyes but than butt eyes. Okay. Okay. Butt eyes. Aunt Jess says, fun fact, the muscles around your eye sockets are sphincter muscles. Well, I did not know that. I know something new now that I'm not sure I wanted to know, but why not? I mean, muscles, like, they vary a bit, but a lot of them are just the same stuff, essentially. Yeah. Atheum says, is it me or is this being overcomplicated? Goal of compliment, make person feel better. If compliment does not achieve goal, then the complimenter should stop. What the fuck? Yeah, no, I get you. So if we look at it from my point of view, from secular humanism, it it it's sort of that thing of, well, does this benefit the well-being of that person? If it's making them feel bad, then it's not helping the psychological well-being of that person for whatever reason. It doesn't matter why. You know, stop, because it's harming them. Maybe not a lot, but it's not doing what. Yeah, I'm totally with you. Totally with you. Imagine going out and date with someone, look into the eyes, and it's literally two assholes looking back at you. Well, okay. Yeah, I don't. Wow. Okay, chat has broken down and just okay. We're wild. I love it. Let's go. Let's go. Austin had Beamsy vibe. Yeah, no joke. No joke. You want a tall girl, but I'm already pretty tall. A lot of women feel sensitive and insecure about how tall they are if they are very tall. Atheum. They're very because there's sort of this normative beauty standard to be sort of shorter than the guy kind of thing. So it does work the opposite way. Am I caught up? I freaking love this game. Yep. The look on my Christ. What the hell? That explains why I fart every time I blink. Yeah. Okay. Wow. This yeah. I feel like I'm having a sphincter clench every time I'm blinking. Wow. Wow. Debate debut. Look, we could host a debate on butts. Like, is the big butt better or the small butt better? I'm all for it. Like, we can do this. It's possible. It's possible. Not sure if anyone would watch, but it's possible. Not 100% sure, but possible. Okay. Let's see. How did the poll go? That's what I'm looking for. Poster is moral at 69%. Nice. Absolutely nice. Absolutely nice. Let's see. We'll have our next one. Yeah, I like a nice tight caboose. I do. That's just a personal preference. I've got nothing against big butts. Like, don't get me wrong. As I said, physical isn't the main thing for me. It's the person, the mind, and what they can talk to me about, and where they stand and their values, and all that kind of stuff. But I really don't mind a compact caboose. Go Davy go. Am I the asshole for not taking my son's friend, who is our neighbor, to events and activities because he's not potty trained? Your son's friend who is your neighbor. Yeah, wait, how old is this kid? Uh Is this like, how old is this kid? A 9? No, definitely not. Definitely not. Wait, and that's ridiculous. He's not potty trained? What the hell? What, does he still wear nappies? I have so many questions, first off, but my initial reaction is no. That is not immoral. Like, that is completely understandable. I don't understand. I don't understand. Yes, but you're a Viking, deviant. You're a Viking, okay? That doesn't count. That doesn't count, okay? Yes, you're very tall. You're also a Viking. In Viking terms, you're probably just average height, quite frankly. Let's see. My initial reaction is hell no. Like, seriously, I wouldn't take a dog around if it wasn't trained, kind of thing. Wow. Wow. TLDR, too long didn't read? Well, okay. I don't know what's too long. I mean, you're putting too long didn't read in freaking Reddit. Like, they're all gonna read it. Yeah. That is really tall though, Deviant. Like, that is very, very tall. I mean, that's what, 250 centimeters. Are you, wow. I don't think you're 200. Are you seriously? That's like 8 feet. That's over 8 feet tall. I don't. I don't. Okay, maybe you are. Oh, okay. Oh, you just want to acknowledge that you're tall, yet you're also a Viking. Yeah, something didn't look right about that. Okay, TLDR. One of the kids in our neighborhood friend group is 9 and still needs an adult to wipe him after he poops. No, that is neglect of children. Like, seriously, what? What? No, no. You go to, like, you go to kindergarten at 4, right? You go to kindy at 4. I, you know, you should know how to. 4 or 5, I guess? Oh, 4 or 5, okay. Yeah, 5, wow. Wow. I saw a clip of that the other day, actually, Andrew. I gotta take a tangent. Tangent's in the chat. I saw a clip of that the other day, and that guy was awesome. That was, actually, low-key, a really good film. It was a really good film. Like, low-key, 13th Warrior, really good film. Antonio Banderas was actually pretty good in it. I forgot how good that film was. Wasn't it based on, like, a book kind of thing? It was based upon, who was it? Who did it? Like a horror writer? Was it a Michael Crichton book or something? I can't remember. I'll find out though. Low-key, really good. Yeah, it was Michael Crichton, Eaters of the Dead. Yeah. Michael Crichton book. Yeah, really good. Tangents in the chat. Tangents in the chat. I don't think that's my responsibility, so I don't include him in activities that take us far from his mum. Other parents apparently have been wiping him, and now I'm being talked about for excluding him. Am I the arsehole for setting this boundary? No, I don't think so. Has he got a learning disability? Is that the problem? Like, he sounds like he may, is that the issue? But I don't see why it's your responsibility to provide him with sort of learning support. I live in a close-knit neighborhood where the kids all play together, go to the same school, and bounce between our homes for meals, sleepovers, and activities. It's a great dynamic most of the time. One of the boys Male 9 in the group still requires his mother to wipe him up using the bathroom. Again, he's 9. I'm not here to judge his development, but I'm saying this: that is not my responsibility, and I don't think it needed to be said out loud. I am fairly confident that's not his responsibility at all. Like, I am very confident that's not his responsibility. If he does have sort of a disability in learning, he needs to have some care or support with him. That's why they have that, or the parents. Yeah. The kid avoids using the restroom away from home entirely. He's held it through school days, play dates, and even had accidents trying to get back home. If he's at my place and has to go, he just leaves. I'm pretty active. I take all the kids hiking, camping, geocaching. What the hell is geocaching? Am I silly for not knowing this? Geocaching. Participants use, global petitioning system, or mobile device or other navigational techniques to hide and seek containers called geocaches or caches. Okay, got you. Like, yeah, so it's like orienteering, but with things to hide and find. Like, so you hide some treats in a thingo using orienteering, and then you go and find it. Other kids find it. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. To hot springs, beaches, golf courses, all day stuff far from home. I don't invite this boy on these kind of outings because, frankly, I don't want to be out in the middle of nowhere and have to wipe a 9-year-old kid's butt. I don't think that's a normal expectation to place on anyone outside his parents. Yeah, I would have to agree. I would not, like, I don't even particularly like kids. I've got nothing against kids. I don't really like them that much. Like, I don't enjoy spending time with kids, so I don't. I would not do that. No way. That's your responsibility. If they aren't toilet trained, that is not my responsibility. Recently, another parent vented that been wiping this kid, which shocked me. And then I hear people have been saying I've been excluding him. And yeah, I have, from situations where it's absolutely unreasonable to expect me to step in for that kind of care. So, am I the asshole for not including him in certain activities because I refuse to take on what I consider to be an inappropriate responsibility? No. If that's your boundary, that's your boundary. If you don't feel comfortable doing it, then you don't feel comfortable doing it. Just like I wouldn't feel comfortable in, assigning a punishment to a kid that's not mine, right? Like, if a kid is misbehaving, I wouldn't say, "Hey, you're grounded for 6 months." That is not my responsibility to, enforce any kind of punishment on a child. Like, that's your child. You do that. That's your responsibility. Was the poster right for excluding the non-toilet trained 9-year-old? I'm leaning towards no, he's not. I mean, so in the past, I've talked about moral obligations and moral virtues, right? So things that if you do them, if you do something, then you get points on the moral board. Basically, you're more moral than somebody else. Like, for instance, if you give a lot to charity, then you're more moral than someone that goes out and spends it on themselves, right? Like, that's a moral virtue. A moral obligation or a moral necessity is a thing that if you do it, you have to do it to be moral. Like, for instance, not assault people. As soon as you don't do that, you're immoral. Like, you've done something immoral. So I think this is one of those ones where it would be a moral virtue to take care of a child that's not their own. But if you don't do that feeling uncomfortable about it, I get you're not suddenly just an immoral person. Like, you just don't feel comfortable doing that. And I think that we've got to separate those moral obligations, those things that we have to do to be moral, from moral virtues, where we can say, well done for doing this thing, but you had no obligation to do so. Sometimes it is a moral virtue because you had no obligation to do it. Like if you give money to somebody in the street, well, yeah, that's morally virtuous, but you can still be a moral person if you don't do that, depending on your situation. Let's see what the Redditors have to say. Horrorbad2154 says, Jesus, do his parents not give a shit about predators? Oh, yeah. Actually, there was something in Australia, and this I wanna sort of really outline. There's this story from Melbourne, not my side of the country, thankfully, but a childcare worker in Australia has been arrested for and charged with sexual abuse of like 70 kids, 70 offenses. It just awful shit. Awful, absolutely awful. And that was in a childcare center where they do have checks and sort of things in place. Horrible, absolutely horrible. And that's in Australia. And you may say, I've gone on about the Catholic Church before and all the horrible things they have done. And people go, oh, but that happens everywhere. Yes, but the difference is that the Catholic Church tried to cover it up. They covered it up and moved the priests around. If a childcare center did that, they should be prosecuted as well. That's the difference. That's absolutely horrible. That's absolutely horrible. What kind of mum requires her son to expose himself to random parents? The only acceptable reason for this is medical necessity, in which case he needs the appropriate assistance from an approved person, not whoever happens to be hanging out with his parents, for fuck's sake. Yeah, it does sound like, I would be more cautious about, like, if they all know each other, I get you. They all know each other. They all interact with one another. Unfortunately, statistically, the offender is more likely to be somebody that actually knows the family, right? It's not going to be some stranger on the street. Statistically speaking, it is actually going to be a friend of the family or a family member. And that is the sad truth. So I actually do kind of agree with this. Like, just, especially at 9 years old, like, seriously. No, expecting that, or Icy Hunt says, no, expecting that from other parents is the mum's fault. If she's getting mad at people may not be inviting her son, she should definitely teach him to take care of himself. Yeah, and I think at 9, I think that if you haven't taught your child to use the toilet, if they don't have some kind of developmental difficulty, then you're neglectful as a parent. If they do, then, we need to get that support. Yeah, exactly my thought process. Has parents said they have a reason for this? Not sure. Not the arsehole, not your responsibility. And what the fuck are these poor kids doing, parents doing? They're waiting for high school to teach him how to wipe his own ass? It's crazy, isn't it? It kind of is. Are the other kids aware of this? It's weird because he's responding, the poster is responding, but not to any of the bigger questions. Pretend panda. Well, I'm glad it's not a real panda. Not the arsehole. OP's risk exposure here is substantial. I wouldn't be surprised if a bystander called somebody, community hotline, non-emergency police line, on seeing a child of that age accompanied into a bathroom stall by a non-familial adult. I mean, see something, say something, right? In addition to the valid points made by others regarding health and developmental issues, there's potential for OP to be wrongly accused of some sort of inappropriate and sexually predatory behavior towards this child, which could be personally and professionally devastating for OP and his family. Yeah, well, I mean, okay, Reddit. Well, I mean, that would be an extraordinary situation. I wouldn't I think that's, I mean, I guess it is something to be worried about, but I don't think it's really the first thing. The first thing is like, it's not my responsibility to be doing this. Yeah, I think Reddit's on the same page on this one, and I think we're I agree, but this isn't on me. As teacher and family is infinitely more qualified. Pending any developmental, so it probably has developmental issues, which I you know what I mean? Like it's just I shouldn't be expected to, like even if some child has developmental issues, I would feel um less qualified to handle that than I already did if that is the case. Right? You really should be getting professional people who are professionals to handle developmental issues. I would feel even less equipped to handle it. Wild. That this one's wild. Wow. I don't know why. Like I understand that some parents are very, you know, that they will handle any problem that comes up. I wouldn't handle this. This would be no. This is too much. I totally get it. I'm on the guy's side, quite frankly. I look, if you can handle it, hey, you're a better person than I am. I couldn't. No, I'm not doing that. No, 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 no. That if you need somebody to do that, you send somebody with him. A carer or something. If he can't do it on his own, don't expect me to be a free carer for your son. I'm sorry, it's not going to happen. I'm really sorry. What do the wonderful people out there say? Let's see. Um, Book was good. Tangent, tangent, tangent. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Does this story need a Reddit post? Do any of them need a Reddit post? No. Do they want to check with people? Yes. So I'm not sure why we wouldn't. Half of Reddit doesn't need a Reddit post. Like seriously. Big Bad Mama says it's never your responsibility to wipe another kid's butt, especially at 9 years old. Someone should speak to the parents. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. This ATA is sad. Yeah, kind of. I mean, kind of. It is kind of sad. I totally get that if he has developmental issues, but at the same time, I mean, there would have to be extreme for him not to learn something like that. I mean, we're not talking about him doing an interpretive essay of Shakespeare here. We're talking about basic hygiene, basic hygiene functions. You need a carer if that's the case. If he can't learn how to wipe his ass, then you need a carer, not just put up with it. Wow, is talking literal shite about the kid. Well, I mean, yeah. GPS blue. Yeah, thanks, Tilting. Yeah, I gotcha. Sounds interesting. I've never done that. Sounds interesting. I did do a little bit of orienteering, not much though. I probably wouldn't even remember much about it except for, find landmarks and then plot with the compass from one to the other. Your mum does that with rocks she paints? Oh, cool. Ember says it isn't just not his responsibility. Sorry about that. It isn't just not his responsibility. It's highly inappropriate to touch a kid that age in that general region and legally risky. Yeah, well, that's true. And it saddens me that somebody may think that because you're wiping a child that it might be abuse, right? But we've gotten to the point of, yeah, it could be construed that way, and rightfully so, because people have abused children. It's so sad that our society views that like that, but it is good that they do because it would prevent these people from doing it. It's absolutely horrible that something innocuous can be seen that way, but at the same time it's a good thing because sometimes things that at first blush seem innocuous are not. So, you know, it's just sad that that's the point that we've gotten to. This has happened so many times, and covering it up does not help. Like, really does not. I think the guy's immoral for writing his crappy story and asking about it. Okay, well, you know, if everyone's telling him, hey, we do it, why don't you? I can't blame him for going, well, is it? You know, it's easy for people to convince you of something if everybody's saying it. Use GPS. Yeah. Gotcha, Jedi. Yeah, interesting. I've never heard of it before. Big Ben Mama, you spent some time with bubblegum, so you enjoy being around kid. Look, he doesn't even count as a kid. He's not even like, he's just a bridge troll, really. Jump Down to Jedi says there has to be something going on there, in my opinion, not their problem. Yeah, there has to be something going on, right? Like that cannot be just normal development. Absolutely not. Andrew Christopherson says, I wouldn't want to do a thing with another kid. My son is the only kid I like being around. Granted, if I have a girlfriend and she had kids, I'd care for them. That's a package deal kind of thing. Yeah. No, I got you. Andrew also says, yeah, there is a story to why this kid still isn't potty trained. Yeah, I like it, you know, it doesn't, like, if he can go to camps and hiking and geocaching and beaches and stuff, I don't see him being that developmentally challenged that he couldn't learn that. I think I would put it out there. I would put it out there that maybe it is a combination of being developmentally challenged and some neglect by the parents, not finding a developmental institute or carers that can teach. There's kids with Down syndrome. There's kids with intellectual disabilities. They can still learn that. Like, I don't know how bad this would have to be. Like, don't get me wrong. If it is, fair enough. But something sort of says, hey, weird. Ember says, dang, I should have changed my name to Charity. I thought that was your stripping name. Yeah, I think so, Beck. It would have to be, right? I would have to be. I don't have an issue with someone morally neutral. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, that would have to be. Yeah, Deviant agrees. That would have to be no. Otherwise, the moral obligation would have to be not to include the kid, but make a report to social services. Yeah, I would imagine so. I would imagine so. Don't get me started on the Catholic Church. Well, I'm sorry. They're just bleh. Yeah, and Greg agrees. Church has deep pockets, become very lucrative, almost like hitting a lottery. Yeah, which is horrible. Absolutely horrible. Let's see. That's why it's not abortion that needs to be regulated. It's pregnancy that does. Well, we try to do that, but what's very telling is that while we try to put across safe sex and contraceptives and managing that pregnancy, they put across the rhythm method and purity culture, which doesn't work and leads to pregnancy. If they're so against abortion that they would be putting forth contraceptives, but they don't, because they not only want people to be pregnant, they want to multiply and grow the amount of people on the world, regardless of consequences. It doesn't matter what the consequences are, because they think it's all temporary anyway, which is horrific. Maybe just comprehensive education. We don't need regulation on people's lives. Correct. Education and health, absolutely. Geocaching is fun with the right group. Yeah, I would imagine so. I would imagine so. It does sound fun. I mean, I didn't hate orienteering. I wasn't, thrilled about it, but I didn't hate it. It was fine. It was just basically a walk with a compass and map, basically. It was fine. parental courses as a precursor to having children. Now that is a really good idea. You know, it seems like we have a test in order to be able to drive, but anybody can have a child. Something wrong there. Just saying. Yeah. Get it, Reddit. Yeah, Reddit needs to calm down at times, seriously. Big Bad Mama says, what about the authorities, especially if the child is not disabled? The other parents have been enabling this bad parenting. The child is definitely suffering socially and physically. Yeah, no, I agree. But, you know, I refuse to believe that there is not a developmental issue, because that would be just ridiculous. I mean, yeah. Ember says, have you seen how ridiculously pretty this planet is? Big old crescent moon, fireflies. Okay. I have. I've seen some very pretty things in my life. But prettiness is subjective. Some people find machinery pretty. I don't. Mostly. Some electronics are just gorgeous. Like, seriously. Some are just saying. Majestic P. Beck says, I knew some children who were not toilet trained over the age of 10 and would go behind the furniture like a cat. Wow. Yeah, that's just neglect. Parents were nasty and neglecting. Yeah. Yeah. Parents should be checked if they don't take care of their kid. Absolutely. I was potty trained at 6 months, according to mum. I don't even, like, I was I don't even remember when I was. Like, I cannot remember a time when I wasn't. That you know, was that young. It's just, yeah. Deviant says at 9 years old, if you haven't taught your child how to use the bathroom, then and there are no developmental issues, there's something wrong going on there. It's causing issues to the kid. It's forcing the kid to be ostracized, making them dependent. It's neglect, and should be reported if that's the case. Absolutely. Remember to tip your dancer. Always good advice. I'm going to put that in, because always good advice. You know what? It's funny, because I knew a guy who DJ'd at a strip club, right? And we kind of hung out with him a lot. We would sort of almost work there, helping out, you know, kind of thing. I think I was about 18, 19. Once you get to know the strippers, it's not the same anymore. Like, that whole male fantasy, or female fantasy if you're going to watch male strippers, when you know their car's broken down, and you know they've got kids and they're worried about this, you know, you can't objectify them anymore. Like, they were just people, you know, like, and nice people. They were lovely people, just, you know, trying to make a buck with whatever they had and try to survive, kind of thing. And they were pulling in better money than they would working somewhere. And they were great people. They were great women. They were nice. But you know, it's kind of that, once you get to know them, you can't really look at them like a stripper anymore. They're a person at that point. So you know, and it's funny because they absolutely played a joke on me. You know, it's funny. It's really funny. They basically, I can't even remember her name. Like, it's ages ago. It's like, what, 20 years ago now? Holy crap, has it been that long? Anyway, you know, this woman, I can't remember her name. She was one of the women there. She was like, oh, pull me up to get a free stripping thing, and she had a riding crop kind of thing. And I'm like, okay, that's cool, you know, like, pulled up, and she's like grinding a bit, and like, this is out in the main area, like, and then like, I just felt this whack on my ass. She like hit me so hard with this crop, and like, I was so shocked. I didn't know what to do. And the DJ and all of my mates are just laughing at the look on my face. I was absolutely shocked. I did not expect it, kind of thing. But she laid in. She was not shy about it. It was hilarious looking back on it, because I was absolutely, anyway. But you know, yeah, a lot of them do to fund college. Absolutely. 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 Pretty wise. Oh, look, some circuits are just absolutely gorgeous. Like, you look at what the circuit logic is, and it's absolutely fantastic. Don't lie to me. You've all seen pretty circuits before. They're gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. I'm not the best with circuits. I get a bit messy. Some of them are just fantastic. You ever seen a breadboard with like the prettiest circuit on it? I remember toilet training, although I didn't have a firm grasp on age at that age. Did you have a firm stool at that age? I remember diaper changes too. My older sister hated babysitting at that point. Yeah, fair enough. Are we going to share stories about going to a strip joint? Only if they're embarrassing for you personally, Left-Handed Jedi. Only if they're incredibly embarrassing for you personally. Imagine that, an Aussie being attacked by a croc. Look, that's not a joke. Some of the crocs up north, mate, they are massive. Like, I mean, you know, really big. What was the biggest croc found in the Northern Territory? Like, yeah, so Lolong, a saltwater crocodile, measured 6.17 meters. That's 20.3 feet. 20.3 feet. Right? 20 feet long. Okay? That's the biggest croc found. And he weighed 1,075 kilograms. That is literally a ton. That is a ton. That weighs as much as a freaking car. That is insane. Oh, yeah, that was in Philippines, actually. There we go. There we go. Philippines. Largest crocodile ever found in Australia. What was the Australian record? 28 feet long. Okay. Chris the croc, 28 feet long. So that's the span of like, what, almost 5 average-sized men, or about 5 average-sized men laid out end to end is the size of that croc. It is insane. Oh, look, Deviant, that's not going to happen. Sweden just joined NATO, didn't they? So, I mean, there's no way they're going to act like Russia will not activate NATO. There's no way. There is absolutely no way. Yeah, 7th of March 2024. Yeah. So, you know, that absolutely stops Russia. They will not, you know, if they activate NATO, it's going to be Russia, which can't even handle Ukraine, against Sweden, France, Germany, England, America. Like, there is no possible way they'll even. That's why Russia wanted to attack Ukraine before it joined NATO, because once it's in NATO, there's no possible way they can ever take it on. There's no way. There is no way. And, you know, for that to happen, they'd have to have China join as well. And China has, you know, say one thing about China, they really do not give a crap what happens in Europe. They don't care. Like, they really don't care. So, you know, China's just be Chinaing. NATO might just collapse. Yeah, but the EU won't. I mean, like, Trump's doing everything possible to collapse it. But even if NATO collapses, the European nations will just make another treaty and then leave out US. You'll still have like all of the NATO countries in Europe, even if it's just Germany, France, and the UK, right? Just say it's those 3 countries. Russia can't even handle Ukraine, much less Germany, France, and the United Kingdom. Like, they can't handle Ukraine. We're talking about so much more than that. And who are Russia's allies? Russia doesn't have any allies. Iran? Well, you know, Iran barely gets along with them and only is supported by them because they both dislike the US. China trades with them, but it's not going to jump into a war with them. And we know that because it hasn't jumped into a war in Ukraine. It's basically said, no, we're not supporting you in this. North Korea, wow, that's a real reliable ally right there. Yes, Germany does. Yes, they do. Yes, they do, and they've stepped up production as well. Yeah, that's right. And that's got to be the most unreliable ally ever, completely unreliable. So, yeah, I don't think Sweden's got anything to worry about. I don't think Finland has. NATO's doing exercises over in Finland just because. I understand why the Finns are kind of worried about Russia because they've been invaded by Russia before. But I don't think they will activate NATO. Yes. Yes, but if they activate Article 5 of NATO, that is defense. Okay, so what you've got to understand about NATO is that under the agreement in NATO, or if NATO collapses, they will just form another agreement between the European nations with the same conditions. An attack on one country is considered by every other country as an attack on them, right? So in that case, it would be a defensive war because an attack on one is an attack on all. That's how NATO works. So if you attack Sweden, for instance, it's considered by every other country that they have been attacked. It is defensive. So that is a defensive reaction. And yeah, they haven't had the biggest military, but they are ramping up. They definitely are ramping up. As is France, as is Finland, as is everywhere because of Russian aggression. Russia, he would have to be absolutely insane to mess with a NATO nation. That would be the definition of insanity. Like, seriously, what outcome would he get? Like, holy crap. Yeah, Gigi, I think you're underestimating, like, those European countries, how much they uphold NATO. I'm not saying the US wouldn't turn a blind eye. They would destroy their own credibility in doing so. I'm not saying they wouldn't turn a blind eye, but the rest of the European countries wouldn't, because they would know if one of those NATO nations gets taken over by Russia, they're next, right? Like, Russia's not going to go, oh, well, we've taken over Hungary and Poland, we're just going to stop there. And if the UK gets drawn in, it will also draw in the Commonwealth countries as well. It would be an absolute whipping for Russia. They can't even handle Ukraine, and Ukraine isn't that big a country. Like, to handle NATO, good luck. I mean, they don't even have the forces to be able to take over Ukraine. How the hell are they going to fight NATO? I do not understand. I do not understand. Big powers always have trouble with small forces. Well, it depends what they do. It depends what they do, and it depends what the goal of each thing is. It depends on a whole load of things, because that's not necessarily the case. If your goal is to take over and hold a country while suppressing its population, then yeah, correct. But if your goal is to push aggressive forces back into their own country and destabilize the government, no, they do not have a problem with that. It depends, like so much depends on everything. You're making wide sweeping statements that you know, different situations have different parameters to them. Well, no one's arguing that, Gigi. No one's arguing that guerrilla, insurgencies work, right? Like that is a good way to fight a bigger force, but it's only on an occupying force. Okay, it's very hard for guerrillas. If a country does set down a border, say, and then enforce that border, it's very, very hard for guerrilla forces to be effective. You have to be part of an occupied nation for that to be effective. And that's why it's effective, because you're already behind the enemy's lines. It's much harder to do when you're a country attacking another country, right? Like you're seeing this wrong. You're going, oh, well, guerrilla forces work, not when you're the attacking country to another country. Guerrilla tactics don't work in that situation. Okay, well, I'll do my last one. Gigi, it's best just to drop it because I don't think you're right, and I think you're making sweeping statements, and you're also sort of distracting the entire segment. So let's just drop it because I think you're exactly wrong, and I don't think we're going to agree on this one. Okay, Fluid Experience 866 comes out, and this has been my last one. I've really enjoyed this one, actually. I'm glad you're here. Really enjoyed it. It's been wild and fun, and chat's been out of control, which is my favorite chat. An out of control chat. Am I the asshole for telling my friend she's in the same league as men she calls ugly? Okay. Well, I mean, you're kind of shitty for calling men ugly in the first place. Okay, well, my friend, 19 female. I kind of think from the statement, well, yeah, you're kind of shitty for calling men ugly, but you're kind of shitty for telling your friend she's ugly too. I don't know about that one. I don't know about that one. I did do the poll. Yeah, that was a very, very pro poster there. My friend, 19 female, downloaded dating apps like Tinder and Hinge for the first time about a week ago. For reference, she's the type that always says she wants a boyfriend, wants to do couple things, feels lonely, single, etc. She's also, in my opinion at least, very normal and average looks-wise. Not ugly, not super hot, just all right. Okay, well, I mean, there's a lot of people that look okay, and it's their sort of their attitude, their personality, their mind, their confidence that carries it, right? Like it's not just looks that is important. We are just talking about this earlier. It's not really looks that are important. It's sort of how you carry yourself. And I mean there's people like that who are men as well who want a supermodel for a girlfriend, and they're not only sort of not that great looking, but also have dreadful personalities that are misogynistic and horrible to people. It's not. You know what I mean? Like, I think you're setting the standards too high. Look for somebody who you feel good being with, not somebody that looks a certain way. That's my opinion anyway. Since then, she's been complaining that almost all the men there are ugly, short, etc. Okay, that's just rude. And she doesn't match with anybody hot. Okay. Oh, this is Tinder, right? So you swipe. Okay. I asked to see which people she was calling ugly, and she showed me her likes, and it mostly showed people perfectly in her league. Come on now. As in moderately attractive guys. I told her all these guys were all in her league and she should give some of them a chance, since she's always complains about wanting to be in a relationship. Look, if you are being picky, I get that. You're entitled to do so, but you will match with less people. I'm sorry, that's just the reality of it.
She denied she's in the same league as them and said she's much more attractive than them. I pointed out that in her own words, she doesn't match with any of the guys she does find attractive, so she's not in their league. I just dislike this. She said I was an asshole. Am I? Yeah, you're kind of putting people in frigging leagues. I mean, come on. That's horrible. Like, what's this league business? Oh, she's out of my league. You know, I don't know. Yeah, I kind of agree with the thing. Everyone sucks. Anyway, that's what I think. I think that, hey, you probably shouldn't be saying, hey, these people are out of your league. You know, we kind of want to say to men, hey, if you're funny, you're generous, you're kind, you're all these things, you can find a woman who's out of your league, whatever the hell that means. You know, you can make up a lot of looks wise with just being a good person, a you know, fun person to be around, you know, make jokes, be confident in yourself. You can make up a lot of things. We were just talking about this, you know, like how looks isn't everything. So why would you say, hey, because of your looks, you can't get a guy that you find attractive? No, don't say that to your friend. Was the poster right for telling her friend that she is plain Jane? Wow. But at the same time, her friend shouldn't be going, hey, they look a certain way, I don't want them because I won't be happy with them. I would think that, you know, you really should be looking at, hey, do their interests the same as yours? Do they like the things that you like? Would you be, you know, do you like their sense of humor? I mean, I feel like something like the swipe left and swipe right of Tinder, you know, just looking at someone's picture, I don't think you're going to see if someone is right or wrong for you. I mean, don't get me wrong, if the picture is like someone strangling a puppy or something, you can be fairly confident. I get that. But, you know, I think that it's not going to be, like, looks isn't going to be the single defining thing of whether you're going to be happy or not. Don't get me wrong, it's important to be attracted to your partner. Like, I'm not saying that's not important, but, you know, just focusing on looks instead of who they are, I don't think you're going to be happy like that. I mean, you could be if you're incredibly, as I would call it, shallow and just care about looks. Maybe you will be, and good luck to you. But I know that if I just chose somebody on looks, I would not be happy. I would not be happy. So I would not choose someone just on looks. I would have to be emotionally and intellectually compatible with them to the point that I could have a deep and meaningful relationship with them. And that's just me. I'm monogamous. Some people aren't. That's fine. I totally get it. But, you know, sort of saying, hey, you know, match with these guys because they're the same looks as you. I mean, come on. What the hell is that? No, you should be saying to your friend, what she should say is, hey, some of these guys might be really cool. They might be really funny. They might have other things going for them apart from looks. Looks ain't everything. They're not. You know, I just, everyone sucks here. Yeah, I kind of agree. Everyone does suck here. Like, seriously. I'm so glad I'm not 19 anymore. I'm going to upvote that. No C says not the arsehole. Those apps have algorithms that track who likes you and adjust the options you're shown. So essentially an attractiveness algorithm. Okay, but they don't actually tell you about the person. If she wants to be superficial in how she rates guys, then she needs to be able to handle the same standard. ETA, I'm getting a lot of comments. I don't work for those companies, so I don't know what the algorithms are exactly. I read an article a year or so ago that indicated all of these apps are designed to make money, which often means manipulating options available to men to increase rates of purchasing premium services and then getting matches, and manipulating women into getting early matches so they remain engaged. Hence my comment, there's an attractiveness algorithm. I'm not an expert. Please do your own research. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I mean, what makes me suspicious is that if the app found your perfect person too quickly, they wouldn't, you would leave the app, right? You wouldn't be on that app anymore. So I really feel like it's in their best interest to have people not find their match while finding promising candidates, kind of thing, if that makes sense. So I don't know. I'm a bit cynical about that. Maybe I'm a bit too suspicious, but it kind of reminds me that it's not in their best interests to find you somebody who's good for you too quickly, because then you won't use their service. You're then not a paying customer. All of that kind of stuff. Yeah, I don't know. That is a good point. Yeah, it is. Everyone sucks here because believing in leagues is so shallow and dumb. Absolutely. In real life, sure, absolutely. Social interaction. On dating apps, 110% there are leagues, and it's naive to think there are not. Yes, but just because they put people into boxes doesn't mean you have to do the same. That's the thing. Like, just because someone puts you in a box doesn't mean you have to be in that box or put them in a box either. You can think outside the box, sir. Oh, you're a guy. What? My friend, oh, you're a guy? I don't understand that. Not only is OP a guy, it's also 100% did not ever happen. Just some guy inventing reasons for other guys to get mad. Maybe. That may be the case. There is this sort of right-wing weird thing of, oh, girls just choose based on looks and things. Not true. Not true. Like they've actually done statistical studies and found that, there definitely are things that women are attracted to. Sure. Just like there's things that men are attracted to, statistically speaking across the board. But, one of those things is having a good sense of humor. That is not something that is physical. Like, it's just not. You just be able to joke and play around. And, I think it is true to say that being emotionally accessible, like being able to discuss things, emotional things in a mature way is very, attractive to women as well. They want to know that you're emotionally stable, that if they say, hey, I don't like when you do this, that you won't fly off the handle and rant about all women wanting. No, you can be emotionally accessible and going, no, I understand your point. I feel like this, but we can make a compromise. Being able to discuss things is also very attractive, because there's a number of men out there who think, and I'm looking at you, Christian men, who think that a woman's opinion on things is not even relevant to the relationship. It's their opinion that's important. It is wild out there. So yeah, you're the arsehole, but not like a horrible arsehole. You could have just worded it better. People have different types and find different things attractive. She's entitled to her opinions. If that means she cuts off good potential matches, it's her loss. Yeah, kind of. Yeah, it's her loss. Yeah. Yeah, if some of those guys are awesome and funny, and you could have a very deep and intimate relationship with, and you're just cutting them off because you don't like the way they look, it's your loss. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, it is fair enough. Yeah, I'm not even sure this is real, but we'll treat it as real because there's no real way to tell the difference. Fair enough. Yeah, yeah. I mean, hey, I would just say, hey, yeah, there's more to life than looks. There just is. Maybe some of those guys are absolutely awesome. More for the rest of us, right? More for the rest of us. Okay, what has the the gallery got to say? Andrew says, lol, yeah, let her shoot for the stars. Yeah, sure. Why not? Go for it. I mean, that may mean that you, if you're very, very selective about what you require from a partner, you may find less potential partners. That's just a consequence of it. Fine, that's your choice. I guess then you can sort of say, hey, well, it annoys me that she's bitching about how there's no good guys when her expectations are too high. Okay, gotcha. Ember says leagues are crap. This is why divorce rates are too high. Yeah, one of the reasons. I do agree. One of the reasons is this pigeonholing and just this. I get what Ember's saying. This societal expectation, like guys were like, oh, I've got to find a intelligent supermodel to be with, or nobody. It's like, really? That's your definition of success rather than somebody you connect with on a really deep, intimate level? Okay, well, that's your choice. But, then they try to blame women for being lonely and single. It's like, well, you chose this. Jessica, the Transcendental Alchemist. As a lesbian, I struggle to gauge the attractiveness of men. Though my eyes, 99% of men are unattractive. Yeah, I do too. I'm a straight guy, so I struggle to, occasionally I'll say to Lynn, is that guy attractive? And she's like, hell no. And I'm like, okay, I struggle to actually try to, but then again, there's some men that you go, well, Henry Cavill is really an attractive man, right? Absolutely, yes. Andrew says, what's wrong with being called average looking? This dude is biased and disillusioned by what he is told. Attractive. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Yeah, I agree as well. Mark is in the League of Legends. Look, I have not played that game for ages, and that game has the worst community I have ever seen in my entire life. I have never seen a community as toxic as that one. Yeah, League of Extraordinary Arseholes. Yeah, basically, that community is so toxic, it is crazy. There's been ages ago since I played it. I used to main Cogmore. Wow, you're making me dredge up names from the back of my brain. I used to main Cogmore. Oh, Dr. Mundo, just because it was funny. Just because Dr. Mundo's funny. Not that great a champion, just hilariously funny. Tangents in the chat. Yeah, I did main Cogmore though, little Coggy. Yeah, I don't know. My Tinder profile is me choking a chicken. So far, no matches, but keep me in your prayers. B.S. Lewis, you're incorrigible. Big, keep calm and masturbate. There you go. That's for you, BS. That one's for you. Keep choking that chicken. Absolutely. JFC. What's JFC again? My brain is breaking down. I'm sorry. Jesus fucking Christ. A puppy just scared you out of your socks. They can be quiet. It's a sus emoji. Yep. Love it. That's a Kevin Bloody Wilson. I was never sold on that guy, to be honest with you. He's a bit weird. Fake messages. You get fake messages. Subscribe. It depends on the app. Yeah, subscribe to me. Subscribe to me instead. You'll never get fake messages with me. You'll get banal and pointless ones, but not fake. I will always be behind the messages you get in this channel, for better or worse, of course. Tori says, I've dated and had situations with guys who are on both sides of that argument and were really nice guys or were total jerks too. Yeah, absolutely. Praying to speak to random people is odd. Yeah, probably. Emma says they tried eHarmony once years ago, 6 months and 0 matches. Bugger that. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Meeting people is easy. Finding someone worth your time, that is hard. That's something a Jedi would say. I'm trying to phrase how Yoda would say that. Easy meeting people is. Worth your time finding someone, that is hard. Hard that is. I'm sorry. I almost mucked it up. I almost had it. Finding someone worth your time, hard that is. Okay, I'm sorry. I will not do my Yoda impression from now on until I next feel like it. Okay, I won't do my Yoda impression at all this session. Okay, I promise. Dear friends, it's time to me to sneak in bed to cut on my suit. It's been a blast. Yeah, fantastic. Oh yeah. I do not want a 250 centimeter Swedish goddess coming and stomping on me. That is something I do not want. Okay. Yeah, much love, Deviant. Take care. Say hello to Soot. And yeah, thank you so much for joining us. I tried eHarmony too. Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, at least you're being honest. You should have put honesty in there as one of your attributes. I think that would have been really good. You know, at least you're being honest. A lot of people do have mental illness that don't ever tell the other person until it comes out in a raging fire. Dating is for the birds. Well, you know, I'm not sure how much birds date. Your partner has to be in your league, Rocket League or League of Legends. Yeah. No, look, that's, you know, people have met on WoW and married kind of thing, you know, met in person, then married. You know, if you have an interest, there's no reason why you can't find, you know, I can identify beauty in anyone. Yeah. Some it's really difficult to find, though. Really difficult. I get you. Oh, you did play for a few years? It got dull. Yeah, no, I get you. I get you. Just for chickens. Yeah, incredible. You're not green enough. Why am I not green enough? I don't know why I'm not green enough. Yeah, I gambled on the dating game, not in the cards for me. Maybe again when I'm 45. But hey, anybody at any age can date. That's fine. Found many don't like complete honesty. Yeah, I've found that too. That's okay. To be Yoda. Absolutely. Well, how did the poll go? How did the poll go? Because that one was pretty. Yeah, no one is moral. Yeah, I absolutely agree. That was everyone's terrible. Like seriously, I just don't like pigeonholing people into you're in this section, you're in that section, and you can't cross over. And you know, it's kind of I don't get clicks and things like that. I just don't get it. So yeah, I you know, I just enjoy my community and everyone's fine with me. I'm fine with everybody. Whatever. You know, but I'd rather judge people by the content of their character, as MLK would say, not, you know, the beauty standards, whether they meet them or not. I think that that's a way better way to evaluate whether a person is worth your time and effort, rather than just, you know, what they look like, what they wear. How weird is that, right? You judge somebody by what they wear. Seriously? It's wild. Anyway, that has been another aimbot where we've gotten to the bottom of who's right, who's wrong. Don't forget to like. It helps me out a great deal. And I forgot to mention this at the start. The channel is at like 2,400 and something. It's actually climbing steadily, slowly towards superiority and magnificence. It's going. I also got told that by YouTube that I've racked up 100,000 hours of watch time. Can you believe that? 100,000 hours of watch time. So thank you to everybody. I will be having my member stream only tomorrow. So if you're a member and you want to hang out, and I'm going to play some games, just going to hang out, talk about stuff, more than usual. I mean, you know, more than usual. I will be doing that tomorrow. Get your membership if you do want to join the channel, and you too can hassle me while I try to play something like everybody does, which is awesome. I am so amazed when that notice came up. I am so pleased. And so this week, I think Ember, can you confirm you're going away this week, so you're not going to be doing the debate review? I thought you had something on. If you want to confirm that or not, I don't know why I couldn't remember that. I couldn't remember if it was this week or next week, but you do have something on, and I will have a debate on. So if you do want to come, I appreciate all support I get. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe. If by some immoral chance you're not subscribed, definitely subscribe for more. We will be doing this every week because I don't know when to quit. Yeah, you're in Kentucky for the Arc. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, so I'm going to have a debate on this week instead, which is great timing. On the Sunday night Eastern time, or Monday morning my time, I'm going to be on Bad Science Sunday with the irrepressible Dr. Tapioca Weasel and Maya, telling me where to go and what to see. So they're going to choose something for me, and I'm sure I will be absolutely offended and outraged by it because it's Bad Science Sunday. Everything is terrible, and I love it. So thank you so much for joining me. It's been fantastic. I'll see you tomorrow to the members. Thank you so much. After that, Fundamentalist fails on Friday, my Friday, your Thursday night, if you're in Eastern time. From there, it's going to be debate, Bad Science Sunday. Everything's happening all at once, but let's get to that 2,500. So, hey, if you can share it, if you can, put the word around that we have a great community, have some fun, and push the channel, I would love to get to that 2,500. And I certainly will do a show celebrating that with everybody if we do make it to that, which, I have no doubt we'll make it. I just, it's kind of, to be at 2,400, it feels, like we should be there. It's close enough that I'm going, yeah, it should be there already. But anyway, be kind to yourself. If you do have boundaries regarding anything, that's okay. Don't be shamed for having boundaries. We can distinguish whether something is a moral necessity or a moral virtue. And don't violate your boundaries to be morally virtuous. In the long run, it isn't worth it because you will end up resenting whatever it is. So be kind to yourself. Say, hey, I've got a problem with that. It's a boundary. We can talk about it, but I can't violate it because I'm going to resent whoever's forcing me. So take that kindness. Be kind to others where you can, where it doesn't violate your boundaries. Try to be kind to others. It's hard. Sometimes it's hard, especially when someone's being really nasty. There's no reason why you have to be kind to someone that isn't giving you the same respect. That isn't a thing. But do try to be kind, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, everybody.